Hey there, and welcome to Live Online. I'm Brody, and we are in Raleigh, North Carolina, and with a show that is meant to help you think, maybe inspire you, motivate you professionally, personally. It happened with me when I was on the West Coast. I decided to leave my last job to move back to the East Coast to focus on my personal life and the people in it. Now, those that are watching live right now, as we record, like Chrissy, Amanda, Chris, thank you for watching. Welcome to the show. You can comment anytime, even when we have our guests on tonight, if you want to ask a question or if you want to add to the conversation during the show, just drop it in the comments. So as we've been dealing over the course of the last few weeks with being quarantined and avoiding or trying to avoid the coronavirus, COVID-19, and small local businesses learning to pivot, taking on a different kind of business plan, the businesses in downtown Clayton, North Carolina, have actually still continued to see a paranormal kind of action. So tonight, we're going to be hearing all kinds of stories from 3 different businesses in downtown. We'll be talking with Dave Schearer and Sadie, Christi, Burwell, Thompson, Mike Stojic, and Meleah, Christi. So thank you for watching. We're going to get into it. And by the way, it's not necessarily going to be a scary conversation. But I do want to tell you this. There is photographic and actual video evidence of some of the stories that you're going to hear tonight. So first, let's go to Dave Schearer and Sadie, First Street Tavern in downtown. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you? A big fan of your place, and I do see a little distance between you. You are practicing a little bit of that social distancing.
We are. We got about a good 6 inches between us. That's the code, right?
And so you guys have stories that not only of those things that had affected your business in your bar area, but why don't you tell the story of some of the things that have happened at First Street Tavern?
All right. I mean, obviously the house is an old house built in 1912. It hasn't been a residence for quite a while. It's always been a different type of business for about, I think, 30 plus years now. And we've had people come in who knew it was a residence. And from what we've been told from several people is that the last time it was a residence, the grandmother passed away. Upstairs was her bedroom. She passed away. We heard the name, but we've also been told don't say the name because then the ghost will follow you home. So we choose not to say the name. But we also had a woman come in one time. And it was a busy Friday night. Place is packed. This woman sits down at one of our tables. Rebecca at the time had gone over to see if she needed something, and the woman was just really kind of off. She really didn't know what to say, but then she was like, she told Rebecca, she said, listen, she said, I feel a presence here of a woman, and she does not want me sitting in this seat. I mean, we hadn't told this woman anything, just she totally backed away from it and got out of that seat because she felt some kind of presence there.
And when she says that to you, your reaction is what exactly?
A little bit freaked out, obviously, that some woman who knows nothing of this story would say something like that. But some other stories we had that have really freaked us out. I have tenants upstairs. One is Rebecca Carter. She cuts hair. Great, by the way. If anybody's looking for a haircut, when she can actually cut hair again. But she had this big mirror. Every room in this house has a fireplace in it. And she had this, little trinkets and whatnot across her mantle. Had a big mirror over top of her fireplace, which was hung by a wire in the back on, just a bolt. And then she came in one morning. The mirror was not only off her fireplace, but it was laying a couple feet in front of it, face up, completely shattered. But yet nothing on her fireplace mantle had been touched. So not really sure how that happened. But that's definitely freaky.
So had she said anything like, I don't know about space. I don't know if we should be sticking around here.
No, I mean, I will say this. Every tenant I have that moves in upstairs, I preface their lease with the fact that we are haunted. We have had a couple things a little strange happen here, and I just want to let them know that ahead of time. Another time, Sadie and I were working. Everybody was out of here pretty much. Maybe 1 or 2 customers, I think, was still hanging around.
Yeah.
And we heard a loud noise upstairs. So I think I grabbed a broom for self-defense.
Yeah, he grabbed the big broom and gave me the tiny broom.
It seemed like a logical choice.
Oh, you thought somebody might have broken in, maybe, right?
Right. I mean, you never know. And I don't know why a broom thought was like the weapon of choice at the time. But we walked upstairs, and halfway up the stairs, we had a picture that was hanging on the wall, had a big wooden frame around it. And the picture frame was off, shattered into pieces below it, but yet the picture itself was still hanging on the wall. So again, not really sure how that even happens, but apparently the ghost didn't like that too much.
Okay, I'm getting a little freaky because I know some people don't believe in any of this stuff. I believe in aliens. I believe in spirits. I do believe in that stuff, and I'll share a brief personal story later. But so Chris is saying, ask David about the ghost in our childhood house in Warren, Pennsylvania. What is that about?
So Chris is my brother. When we were kids growing up, we grew up in a home. I mean, this home was built in the 1800s. It was a school. It was a big 3-story brick home that was used as an elementary school when it was first built. That's what it was built for our town in Warren. And apparently there'd been a fire in there. And my brother and I researched this when we were little kids. Back in the days when you go to the library and get on that machine, the big white machine with the newspaper clippings. And we had found out that a little girl passed away in there. And I mean, I was a little kid at the time. Maybe it was more in my head, but I know my father, and he'll attest to this today. We were sitting there one Friday evening, family would come over, you'd sit there and just shoot shit, whatnot. And he was talking, and then he said, and my mother attests to this as well, he stopped talking immediately, just lost all the color in his face, and said he literally just followed a little girl, walked straight through the middle of all of them. And to this day, he swears to that.
There's something about like a little girl ghost that is a lot worse than any other kind of ghost, I guess.
Any man ghost as well. The little girl is always worse. I think it's a little more terrifying when it's a little girl.
Yeah.
Right. So
Sadie Rebecca has a medium that comes in here and gets her hair cut. And the medium came in about 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she told Rebecca, she described a man's presence in here. Said he was maybe early 50s, somewhere around there. Very just not.
Plain jeans.
Yeah, not like.
Brown hair, tall, dark clothing,
Yeah.
like formal, with a top hat. That's going to come in importance later.
Yeah, the top hat's important.
Yeah.
But she said that the presence of the woman, because Rebecca had heard, I told Rebecca stories about the woman. And this medium said that there was no longer a presence of a woman present in the house, that now the man, spirit presence, whatever you want to say, was now the presence in the home. And Sadie has a pretty cool story that she actually witnessed this one night. So I'll let her kind of take the lead on this one.
Yeah, so I was working behind the bar and nobody was in there yet. It was in the early afternoon. I just opened maybe like 30 minutes beforehand. And I was in the back prepping up some food for like the day. And we have like a security camera footage that's in the back where you can see like the different rooms that are in the front of the restaurant. And I always check that when I hear noise because like it's might be a customer coming in and I want to like get behind the bar. Well, I heard a noise, and at first when I looked, I didn't see anything, and I was like, well, I mean, customers aren't always the smartest, and sometimes they just sit themselves, and so I just watch the cameras to see where they're going. And so I was standing there watching it because I heard the front door open and close, and nobody came in through the front door, but the front two rooms of the tavern, you can see from like the hallway, this guy comes from the front left room and walks across the hallway to the front right room. And he was tall, probably like 6 foot, and he had a top hat on, which I thought was really weird. It's 2020. And he had brown hair, he's slender, and in his early 50s. And
recently?
Like, probably about 4 months ago, 3 months ago.
3-4 months ago this happened.
Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it. And so I leave the kitchen to go track this guy down in the other room because I thought he was just like sitting at a table waiting for service. And so I get up and I walk over there and I walk into the room and no one's there. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. So then I walk into the other room that leads from that one. Nobody's there, and no one's in like the front. And I'm like, okay. So then I like pop my head into the back room where our bathrooms are, and both the bathrooms are unlocked and empty. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I didn't hear anybody go upstairs because if you use the stairs in the tavern, like you can verbally hear like it's very aggressive sounding. It's just like a really aggressive squeaking.
Sounds like the house is about to fall down, pretty much.
So you know when somebody walked upstairs, but I was like, maybe I just wasn't paying attention because I was looking for this guy. And I was like, whatever, he might be going to get his hair cut. I didn't think anything of it. So then Rebecca, who does hair with his top hat on. Weird dude. But so Rebecca, she comes downstairs later that night while I'm about to close the tavern, and she always like stops in and like talks to me for a second or gets a drink whenever, like whatever she has time for. And we were talking, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna ask you because I just thought it was really weird. I was like, you had a guy come upstairs earlier today, like wearing a top hat. Did he come to get a haircut, or like what was going on? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, a guy, I'm assuming, went upstairs with a top hat on because I saw him in the tavern. And she's like, no, I didn't have any male cuts today. And I was like, I mean, there was a dude in the tavern with a top hat on, like hard to miss. Wow. And she's like, well, did you see him come downstairs? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, what did he look like? And so I gave the description that I just gave earlier, like tall, early 50s, top hat, brown hair, slender figure, dark clothing, kind of formal. And she stares at me. She's like, have you ever seen people before? And I was like, I mean, I bartend, like see people all the time. And she's like, no, like spirits. And I'm like, not that I'm aware of. And she's like, because the medium that came in earlier, a couple weeks ago, described the guy that you were talking about right now as the presence that's in our tavern.
Stop it. No.
I'm not. Yeah. And then things progressively got creepier after I was made aware of the fact, like, which I will say some part probably was in my head, but like also like the bathroom doors, like they're on the hinges,
the
like
closers.
The closers.
So they close automatically.
They like I'll be in the tavern by myself. No one's been in there. Like we're not even open yet because I come in early to like get everything ready, and they'll open and then close. And then so I'm like, oh well, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, so I'll go check the bathrooms and no one's in there. And it's like that feeling that somebody's watching you. I've had glasses shatter and bowls from like the back corner of the kitchen make its way all the way up to the front while I was in the front room.
Stop. Oh my gosh. Did you get any pictures or any kind of of the aftermath or anything like that? Because you probably figured there are going to be some people that don't buy what you're saying.
No, yeah,
course.
completely.
Of course.
I text Dave and I'm like, Dave. So I was in the kitchen, standing there, and like I was really annoyed that the ghost had just like thrown the bowls that I had just washed onto the floor, and I now have to wash again. And I told him about that, and I was like cleaning them, and I hung them, like racked them back up, and there was pint glasses on the table, and they were drying, and I was like, "You're not funny," and talking to like the ghost in the room, and then 4 of the pint glasses fell off the table and shattered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which plays into the fact that, so Rebecca, the lady upstairs that had talked to the medium said that the male presence that is in our building likes to play tricks. And supposedly by me saying he wasn't funny, it pissed him off, so he shattered our pint glasses.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, before we started the broadcast, I was telling everybody, just say nice, nurturing things to the spirits, and it'll be fine. They won't scare you. As a matter of fact, Dave, Sadie, if there was a way to train them so you can have an extra person, bartending, making drinks, that would be ideal. But
it would be fantastic
Great.
if we could just get the ghost to do some tricks and we have a packed house.
Maybe some cleaning,
Something. Maybe a couple tricks on people.
By the way,
I had one in the kitchen on a busy night, and there's a cooler door that when you have it open, it has, food, beer at the bottom. I have the door open and I'm grabbing something, and I felt enough force push on the door. I thought it was Scott just being funny, but it was enough force that tried to close that door that I pushed back on it. And then I poked my head around the door, and there was absolutely no way there.
I remember you telling me that story, and I'm like, you know what? I love y'all's place, but I don't know if, if I could be somebody who would have to shut that place down or open it up by myself. I can't watch scary movies by myself in the house. So if you're shutting that place down by yourself, I'd be like, I want hazard pay now.
So Nina, who worked here for a while, she would always close on Monday night. She called me one Monday night. We close at 9 on Mondays normally. About 9:30, she called me, and she's freaked out. And she said she got done. She was cleaning up, sits down at the bar, pops open a beer, just take a beer to decompress, just think about whatever she thinks about. And she said she heard the bathroom door. She heard it squeak, which it just squeaks. So she walked around, and the white door leading to our bathrooms, it generally closes. And she noticed that it was cracked open. So, she's thinking, that's weird. So she pushes it shut, goes back. Then she said she just felt this weird feeling like she wasn't alone in the house. And she heard the door again. So she's a little freaked out at this point. I don't know if Nina was strapped or had a pepper spray or whatever's going on with her. But she goes back to the door. The door's cracked again. And she goes to push it shut, and she swore up and down to me and her frantic, whatever she was going on with, her just spewing this and spewing that, and her like panic, that she swears to me a figure came right in front of that door. And it's like, that tempered glass, so you can't see through it. But she swears to me she saw a figure come right in front of that door before she closed it. And needless to say, she was out. She done, out, left the beer on the counter, didn't even set the alarm, just grabbed her stuff, and I'm out.
Yeah.
And
Well, I knew you had stories, but I was like, man, that's a lot. So by now you're used to this, I'm assuming. And so, and I know I know there's plenty of stories to go around downtown, and we're going to come back to y'all because we've got to continue this conversation. But we've had Christi, Burwell, Thompson at the market at Three Little Birds just down the street. And Hey, Christy. Now, I know you've told me stories about like little voices, like little kid voices.
I mean, it's more like child behavior. So, like, as soon as we opened up, I was like, there is like a kid playing jokes on me in here. So, everywhere, we would go. If we put something down somewhere, we would instantly go back and it wouldn't be there. It'd be over on the other side of the room. So, I'm like, okay, this is like a kid. So, we just decided to call him Johnny. And Jill, who works upstairs with me, like, we just laugh. We're like, oh, that's Johnny playing jokes. Everything's fine. So, you would come in and like you would set up everything right over here and it'd be moved over to the other side. Pictures would fall, things would happen, but it was always like very like mischievous, just funny behavior. So we just called him Johnny and everything was super cool. Like the space is super big. So like we have the basement downstairs. There's a lot of like creepiness that you could, I guess, get weirded out about, but we never really like took it serious. But so I'm glad Jill's on here because so there's the basement, super creepy. We don't go down there.
That doorway on the right,
like
is especially creepy to me.
That's actually a bathroom.
Oh,
just in case you ever need it.
That's great. And another little picture here of a what looks like a crawl space.
Okay, so it's actually like elevated up off of the ground. So one night, like a bunch of my friends and I, we were in here, I was showing them the space and they were like, show us this creepy basement. You have to like show it to us. So I took them down there and then I was like, I think it goes back really far. So I just decided to like climb up in there and crawl until I got really, really freaked out. So like it goes back. I swore I was underneath Revival by the time I was done. And I got so scared. I was like, I'm out of here. Like, this is ridiculous. I thought like my friends were going to cut the lights off on me and like send me, freaking out.
I love Chris, how he's like, no basement here. No thing. Like, and
it's super creepy.
I remember that time where we went on a tour, or you took us on a tour down there, right. And it was during the day and I was already creeped out. So
you were scared.
Imagine at night. That could be an opportunity to do a whole thing during Halloween. I'm just saying.
I know. We've been talking about doing like a little downtown ghost tour. So that would be fun. We'll start here in the basement and we'll work our way over to Revival. But so like one of the scariest stories, and like I said, I'm glad Jill's on with us because she's talking about Johnny right now. So we had just, we were like, cool, Johnny's here. He's here to play games. It's fine. And it was all very childlike. So we were fine. So one night there was like a huge storm, tornado warnings, everything and so Jill and I were stuck here. There was hail, there was rain. And so we're just stuck here and we're literally sitting probably right where I'm sitting right now. And we're watching the storm like unfold, no music on. Everything is super quiet because, they say like, listen for a train. And so we're sitting here kind of holding each other. This was before social distancing, obviously. We're holding each other and we're like, it's fine. Everything's going to be okay. And it just gets real quiet. And we're like, listening for the train, listening for the tornado. And it was like, and we turned around. It was like a man's like clearing his voice, very clear as day. And both of us were like, forget this. Like Johnny brought his daddy to the party. We are not about to play with this. We're going home. Like, screw the tornado. We're out of here. It's got to go.
Have you ever had a customer come up to you and say, I just heard or I just saw, has anything like that happened?
No, I mean, stuff falls all the time, but I mean, we're pretty accustomed to it at this point. Like we know, it's going to be all right. I think, the basement's probably the scariest part of the store. So we don't go down there too often. Just the one time we crawl through and then that's it.
Is that why Jill has her set up all the way on the top floor of your building?
Man, I mess with Jill constantly. So there's like a video camera, but whenever I watch it live from home, like it makes like a snap noise. And I did that one time from home and she texted me. She was like, what's that noise? I'm out of here. I don't think I can work here. I was like, Jill, it's fine. So she's constantly like, she'll be upstairs and just like a whole mirror will fall or a picture will fall. And she'll just text me and be like, Johnny's up here playing games today. So, I mean, the building that we're in is coming up on its 100th year anniversary. So back in the day, like the main floor of Three Little Birds, whenever you walk in from street level, was like an old, like a store, mercantile, whatever. And then upstairs where Jill is, that was actually apartments. Yes, probably like all those families lived up there. So that was like apartments, and they were separated only by sheets. It was in the Depression era, so a couple of kitchenettes per family. But upstairs was a ton of families that lived together. It's almost 4,000 square feet. So if you can imagine in the Depression era, like how many families lived up there. So, I mean, to be sure, in that time period, early 1900s, I'm sure there were lives lost and, a ton of families living up there, which is super creepy to think about.
Do you know anything about the history of this? I found this picture of this fire.
Yes.
Downtown.
Yeah. So that was actually, Brick and Mortar that's right beside us, the catering place and wedding venue right beside us, it was Helping Hands mission, and that caught on fire, which is, I mean, they're connected to us. So that was 2001. There was like a ton of smoke damage, flood damage from this space, and I'm pretty sure during that time, that's whenever like our building took like a lot of loss, and like they lost their elevator and stuff like that.
So Jill is saying the model upstairs fell.
Oh yeah. So we have like a couple of mannequins that are upstairs, and they're stationary, they're not going anywhere. And so it just completely toppled over one day, like no customers, very quiet, just like, and that's why we think it's like a kid that's just playing around with us. Like it's definitely a child energy, until the one time it was the old man, and that was definitely like a father figure or something for sure.
For me, I don't know. I kind of feel like the noises would freak me out more.
Yeah.
And so when my dad passed away, and I know some people think I'm completely crazy, when my dad had passed away, for a few months after that, I would hear noises, and I was sure that it was my dad. And that's a little different because it's somebody and you care about, obviously, and, a part of family. But I can't imagine for me, a noise would almost be worse than, because I've heard things before, but I haven't seen anything yet. Now that I said that, I've totally screwed myself. I'm going to end up seeing at this point. But had you ever worried that a customer is going to hear or see something?
No, I mean, I don't know that it would bother them. I mean, maybe they might see something weird. I'm more worried about losing Jill, to be honest. I did one time like carry a mannequin head like up the stairs and just try to freak her out. She's definitely easily frightened by it. And then Christie, our seamstress, so we have these double doors that open up to our warehouse in the back. And like they're not ever intended to like swing open. There's no wind back there. It's a warehouse. And so the door just kept opening and opening. So she actually boarded it up like a piece of like a wood in between it, so the doors would stop opening. And the next day she comes in and the piece of wood is like on the floor. He was like, you don't have me now. So
Jill.
Oh, if only Jill could be on with us. She's so freaked out by him. Okay. And I mean, it's Johnny, that's for sure.
Well, you're on a first name basis, so that's.
I know, we're familiar.
As long as Johnny isn't saying, "Hey, Christy," So.
No, definitely not.
So we also have Mike Stojic and Meleah Christi from Revival 1869 across the street from Christi, as a matter of fact. And there is video to go along with some of your stories. Yeah. But first, lead into that. Talk about first of all, you guys were probably the ones who opened the most recently between the three of you, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Meleah, she'll be here soon. She had to run out and get her cable to her computer. We didn't realize the battery was as low as it is. She'll run out. She'll be back soon.
It's the spirits. They're getting.
This thing is killing the computer battery really fast. But yeah, so we got it's because of our security camera footage. That's what you're asking, right? For the
yeah.
Yeah, so there was a couple things, and Meleah's going to tell the story of the ladder. So I'll tell the other story with the Moscow Mule mug, which really, that one is the one that really messed me up probably the most. So we have our Moscow Mule mugs, and you can see them they're right here. They're hanging up right behind me on hooks. And I think you have the picture of it. So they're copper Moscow Mule mugs, and they hang there. And at the end of the night, every night, we break down a very particular way, and we clean everything. We put everything back in its place. So when I leave, typically I'm the last one, or Meleah is the last one. And then usually I'm one of the first, or she's one of the first to come in. And there's certain things where when things are out of place or they're just not put back right, I tend to notice those things. And one of those things was a Moscow Mule mug, which was rolled almost most of the way across the bar. And it got me interested. So I thought, well, that's strange. Let me see why this is the way it is. So I went into our office. I pulled up the security footage, and I found that there it is, the Moscow Mule mug jumping off the hook. And it literally sent chills down my spine because I've never actually seen anything quite like that. We did see the ladder move, and that was something because we were here when it happened. But she'll tell you that story. But it's but even that, I'm kind of like, wow. I mean, that's really creepy, and the ladder did move. But the way that mug jumped off that hook and rolled around, I'd never seen anything quite like it. And that was probably the weirdest thing that I'd ever seen.
Why is it that happens at like almost 1 a.m, but that doesn't happen during the day? Because I noticed like the timestamp on there, and I'm like,
yeah, so that's funny because I did this ghost project in it was a literary class, and it was down in St. Augustine, Florida, which is extremely haunted. And the guy I asked the tour guide, we did this ghost tour, and then we did all this other weird ghost hunting stuff, and I asked him the same thing. I'm like, well, why is it only at night or 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning? And he said, well, it's because it's happening 24/7, but it's at those hours where the lights go down, so your eyes adjust to the darkness. The sound is a lot lower, so your ears adjust to the lower sound. And as a result of that, you tend to see or hear things at those hours because you don't have the background noise or all the ambient noise of the regular day, right? And apparently stuff happens during the day too. It's just, I guess, because there's so much going on, it's not noticed as much as when there's literally nothing going on except for the one cup that bounces off the hook, right?
And I feel like the obvious answer is the freaks come out at night.
It's true. It's true. Heather is freaked out by the Moscow. Yeah,
I'm freaked out too, Heather.
It's creepy for sure.
Well, and that's the funny thing too is like it seems like right down Main Street, downtown Clayton, this is what you guys all have in common. So if one person's telling a story and they don't have a picture, they don't have video, somebody does. So it's not just BS, right? And so and then you show each other, and it's like, well, I heard this and I saw that.
Oh, we're corroborating for sure. It's they're all over.
All right. Our computer was dying. So what?
You're the ladder.
What do you want me to say? Oh, the ladder. Okay. Yes. So one of the first things that happened when we had just opened, it had probably been within the first 4 months or so. A lot happened in the first 4 months. But one of the biggest things, and we have recording of it, and of course, recording, especially security camera, isn't ever going to be as good as the real thing. But it was during the day. It was on Sunday. There were people here. That's one of our older bartenders who used to work here, and Mike and I are sitting just at the bottom, just off screen on our computer.
There it is!
And yeah, the ladder moves, and you can see the bartender at the time. It's dead in there, and there's no movement. The bartender at the time, he's terrified of stuff like that, and he picks whatever up that he's holding, and he's like, "Don't you say it. Don't you say it." Because if we all admit it, that we all saw it and heard it and everything move, that means it's real, and we don't want it to be real.
I think the other thing that's in that story too, or in that video, in that video too, Brody, is you can't hear the sound that the ladder actually made. it swings out, and it looks like a little swing, but man, it sounded like it was banging around.
Yeah.
And so much that, like, later in the video, you see me pop up, and I'm looking down because I thought he was down there in the cooler getting something, and I was about to, say some silly comment to him. But he was, you could see he's clearly at the other end of the bar. He hears the thing swing and turns around.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can hear. Oh, that was me in the bottle. But if you can hear it probably sounded like very similar to. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, I heard it.
But for there being just a handful of us in the bar, it was enough for everyone to look up and realize.
Yeah, it was remarkably.
Nobody was standing there.
Remarkably loud. I mean, it was really strange.
Well, that's why your bartender turned around. It looked like he had his back turned, and then he turns around like, "What the hell?"
Oh, he did.
Right, because
we were all there.
He knew. All of us knew that he was the only person who could have been behind the bar, and he's at the furthest point, and he looks around like, who's back here with me, and no one's there. And then like in later footage, that goes on throughout the day, you can see, all the men who are like, I could explain this. They're all going back behind there, and they're like checking the bolts and the swing and the airflow and everything. Like, there must be an explanation, and there just never was.
Trent says, I've seen the mug fall, but that's the first time I've seen the ladder move. Freaky. Everyone was around to hear that.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's one of two that I know for sure of that happened, during the day while people were here and could tell about it.
And that's the thing. I'm like, of course you expect that stuff to happen at night, but during the day, it would be a little easier to deal with seeing something like that. But
yeah, for sure.
So you sent some pictures of things that did you come into work and you found these things on the ground? You said where everything is at all times. So,
and we're the only two people at the time this happened, until we had head bartenders and things like that. We're the only two people ever who have keys to this place and who are ever here outside of operating hours.
Yeah, so that one, at first it looks like maybe those. So we make our own ginger. We make all of our own syrups, but some people, the ginger's too much ginger. So we buy Canada Dry for folks who prefer that in their Moscow Mules. And that's what you're looking at to the right is a 6-pack bottles of Canada Dry. And the weird thing was we put everything on the shelf, so nothing's like hanging off the shelf. But the whole 6-pack came off of the shelf and landed in such a way that it didn't break the glass. Well, one of the glasses broke, but the other ones, it broke the top part of the cap, and it shot that off where the rest of the cap is still tied on. And I'd never seen anything quite like it. Thought that was very strange, especially since the whole thing was sitting completely on the shelf. Something else, I think you had the photo of the change drawer. At the end of the night, we count all the cash up. We take care of that. We got the change too, but really all of tips are included in all of our prices, so there's not a lot of need for change. But we had the change drawer in the beginning anyway.
Tax is included.
What did I say?
Tips.
Oh, tax.
Tips are not included. Tips are very recommended.
Yeah,
and appreciated.
Yeah,
tax is included.
What do you think I say? Tips? I said tax. No. The tax is included in our prices, so there's not a lot of use for the change. But we got the change drawer.
Like, damn you!
They're like, you sons of bitches. But they're like, so the change drawer, and the change is it's just a pile of change. And then I came in, and I went to put the money into the drawer, and the change was all stacked in a line. Do you have that? Happen to have that up?
You know what? I don't know if I have that in here. I'm going to try that.
Well, it's not a big deal. People understand what stacked in a line means.
Yeah. Our change drawer is.
No, I'll tell you another story, Brody.
Smattering of change, but not that day.
What else you want to know?
I know, Brody. You were asking when we talked a couple days ago about the man that I saw, and I am not one of those like, woo, it's a ghost, it's aliens, it's what I'm like, just rub some dirt on it. Yeah, like it's probably not at all what you thought it was. But I'm like, I respect it. If they're around and they're doing whatever, that's fine. Just don't mess with our inventory and just don't make more work for us than we already have. But there was one night that when we close up, like I said, we're the only ones with keys, and it was late on a Saturday night. It was probably like 1 or 2 or something. And the staff, we have a long cleanup process, but they, I wanted to make sure we always go around and check and double check the doors and locks and everything. And so I'm like, everyone head out the back so I can secure all the doors. And as I was doing that and I was turning the lights off here on this end of the bar, we've got the street lights coming in, and a lot of times the beautiful glow of the lighting from 3 little birds. And so you can see if there's light shining in, but I flip the light switch off and I check first to make sure everyone's out the door and that, I don't have to kick anybody else out. But I flip the lights off, and directly across from me at the far end of the bar, there's a tall, bearded, dark-haired man just staring at me from the other side. And my first reaction, being the way I am, is like, you SOBs, I told you already, get out so I can lock up. It's late. I want to go to bed. I'm going to crush you, old lady. And so my first thought is I walk over to the back door to curse them out. But all the staff, Mike, everyone, they're out on the back patio waiting for me to walk out. And so but it was not just the outline. It was like I could see in the shadows, details of his face and the way he was just staring at me. And I'm like, what, bro? Did you not get your tips or something? Get out. But I turn and look, and I turn and look right back, and he was gone. But it was a tangible, physical person.
Shannon is asking, do you guys ever feel the presence, even if you don't see it? Do you ever feel the presence of these spirits when you're there?
I'm here kind of a lot by myself at night, and I think it's I think sometimes you can. Because I'll try to. I'm learning how to play the piano, and we have a pretty nice piano. So I'll sometimes sit late at night after everyone's left just so I can practice. And sometimes it just feels good. I'm in my own zone. And then sometimes it feels like literally someone standing over me or sitting next to me or sitting or anywhere. There's just somewhere that they're at. So, but that's not every night. That's only on, I don't know, some occasions. But more than just feeling it, I'd say the one thing that really, really creeped me out more than anything, more than watching that mug move, was we had set up a bar meeting. It was me, Meleah, and Nicole, who used to be one of our bartenders. We were supposed to come in and meet during the day, and I was the first one here. So I get in, and I'm trying to get my notes together, and I use the restroom. And as I'm washing my hands, I hear kind of a bang, and then I hear a little girl talking, but I can't. It's inaudible, but it's very clearly a little girl's voice. And then I'm giggling. But I'm thinking at the time, oh, cool, Nicole just got here, and she brought her daughter with her because they weren't in school yet. So I finished washing my hands. I open the door, and I say, well, what's up, Nicole? And then I hear nothing back. And I'm like, Nicole. And I still hear nothing. So now I'm looking around the bar, and I look around the lounge side, and I'm like, what the hell did she? So then I go outside, and she's not out on the patio. Now I'm really freaking out. So I texted her. I said, hey, where'd you go? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, are you here? And she's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I'm on 70, stuck at some light. And I was like, who the hell was here? So then I go around, I check all the doors. All the doors are still locked. And Brody, that freaked me out so much. I don't know if I'd ever been so freaked out, because I swear that voice was right outside the door.
You grabbed a drink from the bar. That's what you did next.
I'm like, well, there's only one thing I can do.
I can testify to it because I came in 2 minutes later, and he was shaking. Like, I mean, you know, this Mr. Marine Corps, you know.
Oh, I wasn't shaking. I was just like, let me tell you the story.
He was.
I don't know if I would call it shaking.
Oh, he was shook then. And well, so on that same note, though, talking about stuff that happens during the day, and you know that people have seen, guests have seen this. We meant to send you a picture. We can upload something later or something. But during service, we're 21 and up, very strictly, like no exceptions. I don't care who you know or who you whatever are or something. We are 21 and up because we're drinking in adult establishment, and so you know we don't make any exceptions for that. But for the course of a few weeks, you know, we would have some guests pull me aside and say, "Hey, you know, I don't think you let kids in here," and I'm like, "You're absolutely right." And they're like, "Well, you should probably go check because there's a little girl running around here." And I'm like, no, we're not that big. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And they're like, no, she is. She's a little blonde girl. She's about 4 or 5. She's got a little blue smock dress on. That's the way now of some of the, I don't know, just people. I don't know, smock dress. And
these ghosts are gonna get. Someone's gonna call the ALE.
Immediately, I'm like, I love a little kid, but I'm like, I am escorting your ass out of here, stat. And so I'm running around looking, and I'm looking. I'm like, there's no one here. There's no one here. This happened like two times for certain, might have been 3, but I know for sure on the third or last time that it happened, somebody was sitting over on the lounge area, and we have a lot of, you know, we've done a lot of renovations and all, but trying to restore it back to how it originally was. And so there's a lot of plaster left on the wall over on the lounge side, which was the funeral parlor. And somebody was like, hey, do you notice that if you look at the plaster on the wall, the variations between the blue and the white, it looks just like a little blonde girl in a blue smock dress. And I was like, holy S words. That's exactly what people have described. Well, then the next time those people who saw it first came in, I'm like, let me tell you all the hullabaloo that's been going on. And I pull the mirror and the piano to the side, and I show them, and they're like white in the face, like, check, please. Thank you. No, thank you. Because they were like, that is the little girl to a T that we saw running around here laughing and giggling.
So when you're thinking about opening this place, you pick the location. What is are you aware of the full history of the building?
Not so much. The Clayton Library is awesome, and I really wanted to find out a lot of the history so we could pay homage to it. But Pam Bumgarner, who's up at the library, she's the town historian. So we spent a lot of hours sitting down with her trying to find out, you know, the history of the building. And, you know, this bar side has been a number of different things, you know, maybe nothing super exciting. But that side over there, the lounge side, you know, is the John I. Barnes funeral directors. And so the fact that a lot of the stuff has happened over there, or that anything around here happens, we're just kind of like, oh, that makes sense. You know, spirits and just our dumb luck, I guess.
or you know what, the success, because now on top of what you guys are already doing, now you have these kind of stories. And so, you know what, but the spirits, they don't bother people. So people who are into the ghost stories are going to want to go all the more. And people who aren't, well, they're not going to see them anyway, unless, you know, they start talking ghost smack, and that's not good. Exactly.
And usually anytime anyone starts seeing anything, we're like, you've probably been overserved, and we're gonna
right.
Come again.
These are I love these stories. What are you guys doing now? To kind of wrap up, what do you guys have certain hours? You're open. You know,
Yeah.
how is it that you guys have pivoted?
We're adapting because I think that's the only way a bar is going to make it, is if you almost have to evolve or you'll end up dying. So, you know, we're about to enter our 5th week of mandatory closure, and we got into making home cocktail kits. So it's basically, because, you know, what we do here is we make all of the syrups in-house. We create a lot of our own tinctures. We fresh squeeze all of our juices. So we thought, well, let's combine all that together, create these cocktail kits, because we're not allowed to sell liquor or spirits. But what we can do is do these premixes, and all you have to do is add the booze yourself and make it. And we did it in a really cool way. I'm going to grab one of the things. I forgot to get it. So we did these like individual servings where we buy these cups. And I know it looks kind of what it looks like, but it's a plastic cup with a lid on it. So we'll do the premix inside here, and we'll give this to you. It's an individual serving. And then you add the booze and the ice, put the lid back on, and then you shake it just like, you know, we do, which is, you know, it's fun.
Wait.
And then you pop it open and you enjoy it, and you have your own little, it's an individual cocktail, and you don't have to worry about it. It's not the lid's not going to fall off or anything. And that's fun. I mean, I think that's something we're going to continue doing even after we open, because these are little things you can take with you to the park, on a picnic, on a road trip. And then I was going to tell you about the syrups.
Yeah, we've always, since we make everything from scratch, you know, we don't do the high fructose mixes, all that stuff. You know, people have, since day one, they've been like, man, you should bottle this and sell it. And now just coincidentally, we've found ourselves with the time and the ability to do it. So we have like our house ginger syrup, tonic, lavender, lemon, where we just put a poll out for, you know, what you'd like to see next. And it's been going really great. You know, it's a drop in the bucket for sure. But it allows us to you know, help our staff as much as we can, and also to kind of do some good. We've been doing some we've started doing some just kind of like feed the industry, like family dinner, just kind of things.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah, April 8th, and we're doing another on the 19th, and then we've got more planned after that. And it's not like for people who are out of work or who are really needy. We found, you know, we were worried that like that whole people's pride are saying, well, I'm not that bad off, you know, they might not come for it. But it's really just kind of like everything sucks right now. So like, just let us make some really delicious food, and just we have like a drive up back at the back, and we just kind of like, how many plates do you need? And it's just like really good food and
family.
Yeah.
Make it like a family thing. Yeah.
Let us just like spread some goodness, you know, and whether you're really needy or you just, I don't know, need a good moment, a good happy moment, just come and let us get awesome food.
So you can find them on Facebook and Instagram, Revival 1869. Also, Dave and Sadie, what are you guys doing to right now, like with hours, or how are you pivoting your business model right now?
So our hours obviously have changed a little bit based on everything that's going on. Obviously, we're in here cleaning as much as possible after each night. And Carrie, who works on Wednesday nights over there, she's like friggin' Mrs. Clean, I would guess, scrubbing toilets and door handles and everything else.
Need something clean.
Yeah, Lysol and her are best friends. Like, she friggin' uses it as mouthwash. Apparently, she's so clean. But what we've done is we are now open on Wednesday through Saturday. We open 5 to 8, and we offer to go only. The flatbreads, dips we're selling by the quart right now. We make all our dips fresh. So we started selling them by the quart, because when we make a batch of it, obviously it's only good for, you know, several days, but we want to make sure that we got to go through it. We're not going to be throwing it away. So we sell it by the quart with chip.
Those flatbreads.
Weekend, we're going to start making margarita mixes that we've done in the past to sell as well. And we're going to be selling those by the quart. So look for those, cucumber. We're going to do the strawberry jalapeno, blood orange, pineapple. So we're going to have those available this weekend. And, it's one of those things, like the whole thing of people not coming in and this and that. You don't want people loitering around hanging out. So we usually hang out on the front porch when you come up. We tell people, hey, listen, if you're comfortable coming in the building, looking at our beer list or looking at our cooler and see what you like, you could do that. We have a list available we can show you. So if you're not comfortable coming in, so be it. We understand completely. And that's how we've kind of adapted this. I mean, it's obviously a difficult situation for everybody involved.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to think of new ways to do things and change your business model accordingly instead of just laying down and calling it quits. So, and I mean, I sit up every night, honestly, thinking about different ways we can do things and ways we can become better at what we're doing, and just new ideas. Like, hey, we need to try to spin this. We need to do this. Like, it's one of those things where you just have to have the ability to adapt and overcome the situation you're in. Right.
And First Street Tavern is on Facebook and Instagram. And I know you guys, when you have events or when, whatever you have going on, that you share that online. So Facebook and Instagram. And Christy over at the market at Three Little Birds. Christy, what are you guys doing?
Well, I mean, we've moved about 20% of our inventory to a website. Our friends down at Canopy really helped us shift our business from a full walk-in brick and mortar over to a web platform, which is amazing. It's really given us the opportunity to still serve our customers. We have had a ton of curbside orders. People place their orders online now, which is totally out of our comfort zone. We're so used to meeting our customers at the door and sharing everything that we have with them. I mean, we support over 100 local artisans. So a lot of stay-at-home moms, a lot of just makers, crafters. We have the bar in the store. So we have so much to offer. So getting it onto a web-based platform has been a little bit difficult. It's challenged me as a business owner to step my game up for sure. We've been doing live sales. We've been trying to partner with other local artisans and bring them on so that you guys can meet the makers. So it gives them the opportunity and gives our community kind of the chance to meet some of the people that supply a lot of the goods in here. Like I said earlier, we have 10,000 square feet and a ton of inventory and a ton of beautiful things. So bringing it in a different way has proven challenging, but thank you, Brody, for having those two business coaches on a couple weeks ago, because what they said really moved me. It was like, you're either going to pivot your business or you're going to pause, and pausing, for all of us, none of us are silver spoon babies. So, we're small business owners. We're definitely in it to make money, and we need to make money to support our families. So, moving everything over to a different platform was really the only way that we would survive. So, again, huge shout out to Canopy for just jumping in and helping us with that, in the moment, which was amazing. Really saved us for sure.
And the market at Three Little Birds also on Instagram and Facebook as well. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. See, now we can all see each other and wave at each other at the same time.
I can wave at you this way and this way.
You guys, we love you.
I know.
Love you all.
Thank you.
Be back.
I know you guys know you're two of our favorite businesses of all time in Clayton, and Canopy too. We couldn't do any of this stuff without all of us working together. And Brody, I mean, what can we say? You're kind of the man.
You're awesome.
I think I'm the
when we reopen, get ready for a party for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Main Street will be rocking for days.
Yeah, Brody, definitely appreciate this opportunity for all of us. I mean, I think I speak for all of us in this, that we definitely appreciate this. The opportunity to get on here and just kind of tell what's going on and just make something a little fun and different for everybody to kind of tune into.
Y'all are
awesome, Brody.
Y'all are really like family. I think everybody who goes and frequents your businesses, I think that they would agree. And you guys obviously are like family together as well. So I appreciate you coming on, and I hope to God I never witness or hear anything when I come to your place ever, and I'll just take your word for it and watch the videos and that's
We're
it.
all saving something special for you, Brody.
Yeah. Fun.
You know what's going to happen? You could probably get me if I get drunk one night. Then you can probably even. All right, you
I always
guys.
wondered why we always stayed on the front porch at my place. You never actually,
But you know what? It is possible, and hopefully this thing lifts in time for the before the summer's over. So,
oh yeah.
Fingers crossed.
all right, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brody.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
And thank you for watching. And you know what? Like I said, you know, if you don't believe, it's fun to listen. And if you do, look, there was the video. I'm going to play it one more time. The video of the ladder. And you see the bartender's not even facing. And it moves. He hears it. Ah! I can't. And the quick replay too. Right after. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you watched on Facebook and haven't already, and you like the content, like and follow. If you watched on YouTube, then subscribe, and you're going to be able to watch on demand and continue the fun conversation here at brodyradio.com, where you can find my contact information, social media handles as well. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, your own show, would love to work with you on that. You know, now is the time to get creative. And, you know, if your business isn't haunted, then, you know, then back to the drawing board. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, get connected, stay inspired, be happy. Thanks.